Yeah, no more of that. No more of that.
Mike has officially declared himself a Democrat as of today. And,
I thought we weren't going to talk about it. No. I wouldn't say that. I just expressed to friends of mine and to the dismay of my niece, who is a hardcore Trump supporter, that if that follically challenged gentleman is the nominee of a certain party, that I will sit out the election. I will not vote for that piece of crap.
What's sad is I quit working for his organization once, but if he were to become the president, I can't quit that.
No.
That's the worst part. Hi, Mom. How you doing?
I did see a story though yesterday that Canada is preparing to.
She's not very good at sneaking. Sorry.
That's awesome.
What happened? I didn't see what happened.
I'm at my parents' house. I came down for the Flyers game, and my parents live around, so I'm here, and she's getting ready to leave, and she's like, I'm not very good at sneaking out, am I?
No, I saw a story yesterday that Canada is preparing to tighten its borders, and I'm like, they're doing that in advance of November for a lot of people who will flee if certain people get nominated. And
You know what Canada should do? They should build a wall. That's what they should do.
I wonder where they would get such an idea.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure we would pay for it because we really haven't.
Logically.
Yeah, I agree. That's so unbelievable. Anyway, we don't get into politics here, but we'll get right into we'll try not to get in politics at least. We have a fun show.
There's politics of hockey. There's some politics going on.
There is some politicking going on.
Politicking. I like that verb.
Yeah, we have to talk about that because, and I'm sure we'll talk about it right at the top. But it's a really uncomfortable conversation.
I don't think it is. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Okay. Well,
I'm curious why you would think
into it. Let's get into it. Okay. All right. Hold on. Give me 1 second while I tweet this out to the whole world watching.
Whole world. Should I Snapchat it to the whole world?
Sure. Do whatever you want.
I don't think our thing's ever been Snapchatted before. We're not. I'm not a Snapchat person.
If your dad wants to be on the show, have your dad come by.
My dad's not here. He's not. He's already gone for the day. But should I do a video? Do you guys want me to do a video Snapchat, or do you want to do a picture Snapchat?
Oh jeez.
Do a picture and make Mike into like a lion. That would be good.
That's so. You guys are asking big things.
I'm wearing this beautiful shirt today.
Yeah, let's get a picture of the shirt. That's a good one.
This shirt is perfectly. It's just shirt's okay with everybody.
I thought Russ was going to say make Mike into a handsome man. And I was like.
Listen, I'm not looking for miracles. I went for.
I'm talking so Joe can. Hello. Yeah. So I did ask my wife if she likes my shirts that I've been wearing because you guys all made me really paranoid and less confident.
Don't let us get you.
And she's like, yes, of course I do.
She did. She said she loves them. I'm like, cool.
So wear them for her. There you go.
Whatever you wear confidently is good. As long as you're confident, you're all set.
When is she heading to Lens Crafters?
How it's still burning him for those shirts. You can't cut a break.
And it looks like I'm going to win my bet and everything. All right, here we go.
That's my shirt.
I'm really close to winning my bet now. What am I? 3 to go?
Yeah. You're close.
Yeah, I'm getting close. Hello, Hockey World. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, April 20th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Jillian Fisher.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. Coming to you today we got 3 people in the Delaware Valley today. And then Mike. But
I kind of count, right?
Yes. I mean, I got the nicest text, Jill, from Mike after you guys went. What a great person she was add to the website. Perfectly real. So that's good. You didn't big time him, which is good.
Why would I?
I don't know.
It's been a pleasure. I'm glad you guys are enjoying what I have to bring to the table, and I am definitely loving being a part of it. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic, awesome. That's really awesome. We love having you. Let's get into this Shaw thing while we have it, because Andrew Shaw is not exactly a model citizen, but he gave his displeasure for the '80s rock band Foghat. If you read the.
Jeez.
He doesn't like them apparently.
Or Queen.
Yes, or Queen. But yes, he. Yeah. So anyway, this is I mean, Mike, you started off by saying this is uncomfortable. So why do you think this is uncomfortable? First of all, let's start.
I don't want to be talking about political correctness and
Right.
things of that nature. I want to be talking about hockey. But Andrew Shaw, because he threw out something that is not correct, and I don't know if it was ever correct to say, but he threw out something to another player on the Blues last night, and now.
The ref. Wait, wasn't it?
Well,
was it the ref?
Right? On the ice.
It doesn't really matter who he said it to. I just want to make sure I had the story
We
correct.
saw it to the ref. The one that's out, the gift that's out there, which I will not show you, is definitely to the ref. And there was also was said on the ice as well earlier the same exact phrase, which got some of the Blues kind of pissed off, being compared to a pile of sticks.
So,
Or a cigarette in England. Hey, here's the thing. I was watching Sports Central and I see Nick Kypreos sort of saying, "Do we have like full proof? Did anybody hear him?" And I'm thinking, wait a minute. And this is what I tweeted to him. If we have video evidence of somebody being offsides, you have video evidence of that. It's obvious.
Right, even if it was 20 minutes ago.
Right. It's obvious. And the fact is that he was sort of creating an out bothered me, because it's like everybody else on the panel, Jeff Marek, everybody else on the panel was totally for Andrew Shaw being suspended.
Right.
But the one former player, he wasn't for what he said. He was just saying, did he really say it? And we know he said it. And here's the point.
Well,
my point is, I don't want to hear about the heat of battle anymore. I don't want to hear about that stuff. Usually the word that comes up for me in the heat of battle is like a-hole or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That word, if that comes up in the heat of battle...
Wes has called me that several times.
Yes. But if the other word comes up in the heat of battle, it means the other word comes up in your daily conversation somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, but I think Kypreos was angling toward that proof argument because it was, he knows that the heat of battle excuse is not acceptable anymore. But I think that's what he's angling towards, because, I mean, Russ, do you remember 10, 12 years ago with I think it was Ty Domi and Donald Brashear, and what word was used?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if Domi got suspended, but there was no doubt that it was used.
I think he got fined. I think that's all they did back then.
I think fines aren't actually going to change anything. You can fine a player. When you suspend a player is when it really hits them hard, I think, because it also hits the organization hard, too.
Right, and it's the playoffs. So, and Shaw's been an effective player in this series.
Actually, he was one of the more effective players last night. He was getting in front of the net. He was disturbing Elliott. He was, I think, he was at the heart of at least one, and maybe both of the Chicago goals early on in the game. So, if they do lose him, it's going to really affect them. But again, it's like, I don't know. I think that former players probably will try to excuse this as being part of the heat of battle. And I think there is that segment of the hockey world that, like, not anything goes on the ice, but that's part, that
what's
whole
on the
thing.
Ice stays on the ice is kind
Exactly.
of what
Exactly.
And I get that argument, but I also think that it's not even just the word exactly. It's all of the other types of things that you hear said, and I won't say any of them because
Right.
you really can't even like try to bleep it out without kind of saying nothing almost.
Yeah.
It's the connotation.
Yeah, but it's the insults that try to attack somebody's masculinity and try to, by doing so, by attacking certain genders or by certain people who choose to love differently, it makes it seem like they are lesser. So I get why this should be something that is discussed. I wouldn't be surprised if the NHL doesn't suspend them, because in 2011, was it Wayne Simmons in 2011 said same thing and nothing happened. So there's no precedent set, but I do think it's important to, going forward, the league has an opportunity to help create change, which I think is important. That's the importance of sports.
Well, here's the thing. The league has an agreement with You Can Play. The Blackhawks are a big proponent of You Can Play. You Can Play tweeted out that this needs to be looked at. I think that's enough. I think things have changed enough that should be enough to have it looked at and have something happen. Because here's the thing. If you want to say keep it on the ice, then he shouldn't have said it in the penalty box where everybody knows the cameras are trained.
Yeah, that's the stupid thing about this. I mean, I'm not saying that it's right ever, but it's really ridiculous. I mean, he's actually, it's sometimes like a guy's like, they say like an addict is looking to get caught. This is almost like he's trying to get caught. I mean, this is so blatant. He knows, and then he not only does that, he gives, he gives the finger to the guy on the way out.
Yeah. I also think this is highlighting that the Blackhawks aren't that under control, poised team that we've seen before. Like Corey Crawford lost his crap too.
Yeah.
So I think there's more going on with the Blackhawks that maybe we are seeing them lose it a little. So
that's another good one with Crawford and Fabry. I mean, Fabry was being pushed a little. Did he go into Crawford a little bit? Yeah, I think he went into him a little bit, and I think a little bit of a stick back would have been enough. But the fact that he went to have a full-on beat down in the corner. And in the trapezoid, which that's the part that got me mad. If Crawford was outside the trapezoid, he wouldn't have felt safe. But that stupid effing trapezoid makes a goalie feel safe.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that more wasn't done about that. Like I just thought that the penalty that was, they got a power play, Chicago.
And they scored.
And they scored. Crawford wasn't even penalized. The whole thing was just ridiculous beyond belief.
Yeah.
And I actually think that the Blackhawks have to be more concerned about stopping Vladimir Tarasenko than Fabry bumping into Corey Crawford. I mean, as I said, Shaw actually had a pretty good game yesterday. He was being the professional disturber that he normally is. But what I wonder about this whole situation, and I'm just wondering where the line is going to be drawn. I remember a few years ago, and I'm all for them suspending Shaw if if it's proved, and I haven't seen the replay, but from what you're saying, it's clear that he said it.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago the wonderful and talented Sean Avery in a game in Toronto mouthed off at Jason Blake and Darcy Tucker, and I know what the context of the comments were, but I won't reveal them here. And it was it was fighting words.
Yeah.
And there was almost a brawl in the pregame skate because of it. Will a guy like Sean Avery, who's mouthing off at somebody, get suspended for that since it doesn't involve, a buzzword? I don't know, but we're getting into probably penalizing players for trash talking, and I don't know if the league really wants to go down that road.
And I think it's more than just a buzzword. I think it's, if you're penalizing somebody for saying a certain word, it's more than just the word. For me, it has to do with the fact that you are using a word to try to you're saying that whoever is represented in that group is less than the masculine man that I am. And that's where I think the problem resides. And I mean, if the league decides to suspend him on this one, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of formulate a set of rules going forward, because again, you don't want to trash talking is a part of every sport, and this comes up in every sport, and things are going to be said, but it's just like you got to find a line where you're not belittling other groups of people.
Well, I was talking to somebody last night.
Acceptable insults. Okay. Your hair looks stupid. Your beard is a joke. Your mother. That's fine. You could say that, and that'll still get guys mad.
Right.
Well, and I know the one time, I forget which player it was, said it to, I think, Danny Briere, who talked about his ex-wife. That's a line. Like, that's somebody's personal life. You kind of stay out of that one. Yeah. So it's just that it should be that similar type of line, I think. Right. You just know that's offensive if you said it off the ice, too.
I mean, I think... Man, do we not live? I mean, it ties into everything, like with the offsides and everything. Do we not live in a little bit world where there's some common sense here? Like there is some sense of like. I mean, we have to. I know we don't, Mike, and that's what bothers me. It's like. Again, not for being an idiot. They should just be able to say, "This is a stupid tax. You're getting a game suspension for just being an idiot." And I mean, he's already been embarrassed a lot by this, no question about it. I mean, this is not something that, I mean, this is going to affect him already because the video is so clear. So what is the suspension? And I can say, like, the NHL perhaps saying that. The interesting thing is if they do suspend him, will the NHLPA fight back, on that? Because that you always have to think about as well, because, and I think the NHLPA, that this is not a situation where you can really fight back.
Right. This is a battleground that they really don't want to be fighting on. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's a very touchy.
I think they should take a stance on it because I think sports don't like to play politics, but whether they like it or not, they are important in shaping cultural norms. And this is something that is important in our daily lives. People are threatened with their lives in these situations. And with the NHL not taking a stance, it would make me a little bit disappointed in the league for not having a little bit of courage to be like, you know what, I understand this is political, but it's important.
Right.
And he took a stance like, I was mad, I don't know what I said. Yeah. Someone should show him the video and then say, what do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah.
Right. And this is what you said. Watch it. I mean, that's like us telling Pronger he didn't steal the puck.
Like a 10-year-old. He's never going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, he's not going to tell. He is acting like a child. He should man up to this thing and just say.
If he'd have manned up, we might not even be talking about this.
Well, I mean, there's another issue here. Like this, and I talked to somebody from You Can't Play today, and they're really great, and I talked to somebody there just to get their thought on it. And the one thing that comes through really clearly is that there are gay players in the NHL,
right?
Like, and it's like to think that there aren't is absurd, just based on statistics, of people in general, and but yet there's no openly gay people in the NHL. So when that's where this sort of gets to a strange line because. And I think that's what You Can't Play's issue is, that you want to make the NHL a place where people feel safe coming out if they want to come out,
But also, there's gay fans too, so they shouldn't have to feel like
right. No, and
that's another aspect of it.
Yeah,
and I think a gay writer that said, "Hey, I cover the Blackhawks and I have a good relationship with Shaw, but this was wrong." And one of the other Blackhawks writers said it was wrong. My whole thing is, it may have been less if after the game he apologized and said it was an incorrect thing to do, I should never have done it, I won't do it again, then the league might have stayed out of it. But he didn't do any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And now if he does it after the fact, it looks like he's had to sort of, it's like Johnny Depp and his wife getting busted.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Sneaking a dog out of Australia, and this video where he should have got an Academy Award performance for this video with him and Amber Heard. I mean, it's sort of like if Andrew Shaw does that, it's like, okay, he's doing it just to get past this.
Yeah. Well,
the other thing too is it makes me wonder. I know it's said a lot probably on the ice, but he just happened to be the one that got caught. Is what I also think. He just happened to be the one.
And there's no question.
Wasn't thinking. What was that?
I also don't think that he necessarily even meant it. Like meant it to him. It's probably just a curse word. Or whatever. It's just, I don't even think he's thinking in terms of a masculinity, and I don't even know that he's going there. He might be, but I don't know.
I don't think he is, but I think it's the culture that's already in place is what it is.
I think what's going to end up happening.
Ignorance is not a defense.
Yeah, I think what's actually going to happen now, because I can't see this incident curbing, this byplay going on between teams. It's going to be like in baseball where they have the pitcher covering up what he's saying with his glove. You're probably going to have that unless there's a hot mic picking up something going on between players.
Also, though, there is enough ways to trash talk without saying these things. Trust me, I know. And I'm sure we all can think of lots of different things to say. If it's.
Never would get. We now know never to get into a trash talk fight with Jillian.
I have 3 older brothers. They trained me well. Okay.
And you were a soccer player, and I've taught my daughter's a 14-year-old soccer player, and I'm astonished by what's said on the field.
That's just like saying don't get into a land war in Asia. But go ahead.
No, I do totally agree. Well, let's move on a little bit. I think that this is going to be interesting to see how this is handled. It does kind of transition me into a little bit of a topic that I wanted to discuss before we get into the games. And we are going to stop right at 2 today because I have a thing I got to do. But the one thing I wanted to say is this. There is a definite lack of respect in the NHL that seems to be growing more and more between players. And the one thing this is always talked about, but have you noticed more and more now that every playoff game's ending in a fight? Like, to me, it really is absurd. Like, somebody could usually someone wins and another player just skates away with his head down and just leaves the puck or whatever, Now it's like every playoff game has to end with a fight.
Can I say something about this? It's so disappointing to me. When I was in college, my professor was from Spain, and I had extra tickets to the Flyers-Penguins game, and it was the one where they just destroyed the Penguins, and it was there was lots of fights and everything. And so before the game, he was asking me, like, why is there fighting in ice hockey? We just don't get it. And I was like, it's the playoffs. Like, it's a totally different sport. Right. You're not going to see that kind of stuff there. It's a totally different game. And I was so disappointed. and it just seems to be becoming more and more common.
Yeah, it's just, and I love fighting during the games at times. I think fighting will be banned in the NHL, but that's a whole nother topic. But I love it. I grew up here. This is my thing. But yeah, I'm with you.
I almost think,
you know what? There's no point in good sportsmanship anymore because a lot of us grew up like my dad would say, look, if you lose in a sporting event, you shake the guy's hand, you tell him, hey, that was great, and good effort and everything else. If you want to go sulk, you go sulk in the corner. Nobody cares about that anymore, and I don't think anybody's teaching their kids that anymore, and I think we're starting to see a result of that. Now, and that's not to say everybody's not doing that, but, I mean, other than the ice, I mean, look, Milan Lucic didn't shake hands a couple of years ago. We're seeing little breakdowns in this that are not good to see.
well, don't you think it's a symptom of the fact that there is no fighting in the playoffs any longer? This is sort of a venting of frustration at the end of the game when the game is no longer on the line. I mean, I believe Tampa was up a couple goals when that thing with Abdelkader happened, so there was no consequence. They could go out and he could throw 5 bolo punches to the face of Mike Blunden, and it really didn't matter at all. So I think it's just it's putting in a physical pounding on the other team. When you can get a chunk of flesh, you go ahead and you do it, and it's an expression of frustration. So I think that frustration was alleviated in past years by players being able to fight. But now fights have consequences about minor penalties and whatever. That's not allowable anymore. But now at the end of the game, when they're up by 3 goals, kitty bar the door. That's what's going to happen.
Well, the end of the game fights are very different to me, like than the fights, and to me there are a bunch of things going on here. One, I think that it's almost like players, if they don't do it, feel like the fans are going to say they don't care. So we got to fight. We got to fight. At least we're going to fight. At least we're going to fight.
No, that frustrates me. That frustrates me that that's what we would think, because I can kind of see how it's true, but it's like.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's going on, and it also and along with that a little bit comes the amount of pressure these players are under sometimes, where they just get so frustrated, and they know that some of these guys who are fighting, they know that this could be their last game or whatever, their career, this last series that they're in, and they better do something now to put some sort of impact on them moving forward. So there's that pressure too of I'm going to make a statement. But I think those two things are at play, and it has lost the idea of okay, you were just beaten, that's it, you're beaten, that's it, it's fine. And I kind of blame coaching on it. I really do. I kind of blame the coaches. The coaches should
rein them in.
Yeah, should tell the guys, let's go out like, if you're going to go out like like an honorable person.
But the thing is, Zach, is that you'll notice these battles at the end of games when the series is still ongoing, when it's like games 2 or game 3, where there's consequences still. More than likely, you're not going to see this message sending or whatever in an elimination game when a team is up by 3 or 4 goals. I mean, at that point, it's past. You're going to lose.
I don't know about that anymore. We have to wait and see.
Let's wait till tonight for the match. That's. And I don't see it coming from the Capitals. They're a team that has their head on. They're like they are good. It's just you had mentioned, are they feeling the pressure from the fans? And coming from a fan of the NHL and the sport itself, I'd rather just see my team go out with some respect. Everyone has all the situation that happened in Philly on Monday. I'd rather just see my team put their heads down, finish skating hard, and be done. Like, you lost, the team was better than you, and it's okay. Go to the next one.
I think some fans are like that, and some fans want to see their players go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, I think they really want to get that pound of flesh. So
getting back to what Mike said. So when games aren't officiated right, then that does sort of leave the door open for these things. So like with the Rangers-Penguins series, Letang clearly hits Victor Stahlberg across the mouth with a stick. He loses 3 teeth, and they don't even.
No minor penalty. Not even a minor penalty for it.
Nothing.
No. And I think, Russ, that's a big part of it. I feel like the refs aren't calling things. They're not reining everybody in. They're letting the emotions get so high, and they're going to boil over. That's going to happen.
The Rangers are going to get even for that. You're crazy.
And Russ, the funny thing was, and I can't remember what Penguin got a double minor. I think it was Sherry got a double minor for high-sticking Dominic Moore, and it looked on the replay as if it hit his visor. It didn't hit his face.
I never saw blood. The people I was watching the game with, we were like, "Where's the blood, Dominic?" No offense, but
did he bite his lip to get the blood or something like that?
Yeah.
But all I know is like that happened before.
Yeah.
The Stallberg-Letang situation, and I'm like, okay, they gave him 4 minutes. Is it this mental makeup in these referees' minds of makeup calls, subconsciously of makeup calls? Well, we gave him a double minor there. We can't give him a minor here, otherwise it looks like we're being over biased towards the Rangers.
I don't think. I think there is. I've had a discussion before with referees about it, and they'll always say that makeup calls don't exist, and and
yeah, okay.
Like I don't.
That's like the league saying there's no. At the end of the month, when you get a ticket, that they're not all out there trying to get you because there's not a quota. Come on.
Yeah.
Right. And my whole argument with them has always been, listen, you can sit there and say that you're not making a makeup call in your head, but psychologically, as a person, I think they exist. I just think that there's a part of you that just personally will see something, and if you called 5 penalties on one team, and you see something that team does, and it's that small, you may know, I've already called 5. You can't even if you're not conscious of it, which I do think they are, but even if they don't admit to be conscious to it, there's nothing wrong with admitting that there's a psychological part to that.
It's like soccer refs, like the MLS, and even just across the world. They openly say it all depends on what's happening in the game. Like the penalties they call, and honestly, I kind of don't see too much of a problem with it sometimes because if it's kind of like they wait to blow the whistle if the one team has the advantage, let them play the advantage.
I love the advantage concept.
Just like that. I think you have to be.
Let me talk about this advantage thing because this plays into what I want. This is very funny because I've learned this whole advantage concept coaching soccer, and it was not something that I really. But it's in hockey. If that existed, that would be so fascinating. Like it would really be like, okay, he tripped him up, but you know what? It didn't matter because they still got the puck forward, so there was no penalty. And that's the equivalent of it. That's what soccer really pretty much allows, Or you used his hands. It's not like his hands, but it doesn't matter because he got it. Or if the high stick was inconsequential. That offsides was inconsequential.
It's the same argument that people are making about the offside rule when they're like, we should stop having these because it's a millimeter offsides and that didn't have an impact on the play. It goes both ways.
You know what it is? We're not complaining about the rule. We're complaining about the amount of time that it takes from the game. Again, yesterday, it was like 6 minutes.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people complaining about the other part of it too.
Yeah, no, I think it's both. I think both.
I've heard the time argument, but I've also heard like it's inconsequential. It's not relevant to the goal.
They're legislating the letter of the law right now. They're going to have to change the rule for it to be the plane and not to be the skate on the ice. But I mean, honestly, just touching on the whole referee thing. I think referees, and they're never going to admit it, and maybe they're subconsciously not even doing it. I think referees manage based on the score of the game. If a team is up 3-0, they want that team that's down 3 goals to get back into the game. It's almost like they're penalizing to make the game more competitive.
I don't buy that either.
I could see that. I could a little bit make it a little more interesting.
It is on a subconscious level, perhaps. It is something that no one wants to see a team get blown out, right? So if a team's up 4-0. They're already on the power play, and another guy gets cross-checked. Are they going to give that team a 5-on-3?
Right. I'm not saying that the league is saying make the games close. I'm saying subconsciously.
And I really do believe that a lot of the referees. It's funny. My wife sits here the other night, and she's a very educated person. She's very intelligent, and she's saying, "Why do they hate the Flyers?"
I don't know. The Flyers do get the calls their way too sometimes.
Every fan base says it. Every one of them.
I know. I said they don't hate the. I'm like I know these referees. They don't hate the Flyers. Yes. Yes, they do. They really hate the Flyers. They definitely hate the Flyers. I mean, it's obvious they're trying to give Washington this game. And she's saying this. And here's a PhD woman next to me who's making this argument. I'm like, no, they really is not the case. They are trying. They might be screwing up left and right, but they're not purposely trying to eliminate the Flyers here. That's not in their mindset. I mean, they're making mistakes, and those mistakes may be more towards the one team or more towards the other, and you can sit there and say that they hate the team. But honestly, these guys are not doing that. I mean, if you ever get a chance to hang out with a referee, you'd realize that they're not doing that. They really are legitimately trying to just referee the game. And yes, I mean it does. Yes, certain things matter. Like if and this is a big thing in soccer too, Joe. If you argue a call, if a coach argues a call the right way. And you never hear, although in hockey you'll never hear, "Sir, that was right."
Yeah.
Like in soccer, the big thing is, "Sir, I don't know why you did that." Okay, my whole thing with soccer has always been, We'll agree to disagree. I'll yell that out.
Yeah.
As a,
Do you want to hear the statement released by Andrew Shaw?
Sure.
I almost don't want to because it's just going to make me mad probably. But
Okay.
What time was it released?
Good question. It just says April 20th, but it was just released in the last few minutes apparently.
Okay.
I'm sincerely sorry for the insensitive remarks that I made last night while in the penalty box. When I got home and saw the video, it was evident that what I did was wrong, no matter the circumstances. I apologize to many people, including the gay and lesbian community, the Chicago Blackhawks organization, Blackhawks fans, and anyone else I may have offended. I know my words were hurtful, and I will learn from my mistake.
no, you would have learned from your mistake if you would have said that last night.
Correct.
First of all, he didn't apologize to the person he said it to either. Did you realize that? Like, come on, I mean.
He's only saying sorry because people are counting. If Twitter didn't exist, this would not be happening. He would never be saying sorry.
And the Blackhawks also released a statement. We are extremely disappointed in Andrew Shaw's actions last night. His comments do not reflect what we stand for as an organization. We are proud to have an inclusive and respectful environment and to support various initiatives such as You Can Play Project and the Chicago Gay Hockey Association. We will use this opportunity to further educate our players and an organization moving forward so that we may all learn from it.
I'd love to see what they do. I'd love to see what they're doing to educate their players. That's my number one takeaway.
Are they going to have Andrew Shaw go to a couple classes? No.
And I don't think Andrew Shaw's a bad person. I'm not saying he's a bad person.
You know what? Maybe he could learn something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just hate when people apologize because the social media world calls them out on something and they feel like they have to apologize. Apologize, one, don't say it. Or two, when somebody calls you out on it after it happens, be like, I made a mistake. Don't wait till everyone is talking about it. It doesn't seem real anymore.
How about this? I would forego, if I was the commissioner, I would say I would forego a one-game suspension, Andrew, if you hang out and go to like the next event for You Can Play and see what they do and watch how they impact people.
Yes, absolutely.
No, that would be good. Something like that would be good. That would be.
He probably would do it because they're in a really difficult situation, down 3-1 right now.
So, has anybody else noticed this stuff keeps happening to the Blackhawks? Like, they keep getting in the news for things like this kind of stuff?
Hey,
I'm not saying I believe in karma, but I'm just kidding. No,
I mean, I'm sure it happens in every organization. They're just they're successful. They're successful, so they're in the spotlight.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of people who, I mean, there's a ton of people on the internet right now going about, how the Blackhawks are in the call last night, leave the penalty, like you said, Crawford not getting a penalty. There's a lot of people who think the Blackhawks are like this last franchise.
Well, I think that's a referee problem for giving the Blackhawks too much respect. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might be.
And because it was a goalie too. We all know that they really, and the goalie is very protected.
Here's a weird NHL thing. Why is it that when a goalie gets a penalty, somebody else has to serve? How about this? For what Crawford did, why couldn't he be kicked out of the game?
And he attacked him. He went after that guy. Yeah. He attacked him. Like, that's.
He provoked
Imagine if that was any other team. Imagine if that was Elliott doing that, just on the other end of the ice. It would have been It would have been a different story.
He should have been kicked out of the game. That's the way I saw it, because Fabry finally fought back after he got wailed on. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, hey, if you want to walk up to Fabry as a referee and say, I think he kind of bumped him, that's fine, but that didn't warrant what Crawford did, and Crawford should have been kicked out of the game.
Or even Crawford didn't even have to go after him. He, like you said, could have just thrown the stick. I also think that it's just showing that the Blackhawks, maybe their team is just, again, starting to not fall apart, because that's not what I'm saying, but showing that they don't have the depth that we've always talked about, them not having the depth on defense, and they're not keeping that poise that I've always associated with them, really.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and they are right now. They are playing a team that's way more disciplined than them in St. Louis, and it's really interesting to watch. Like,
no, I don't think they're playing a team that's more disciplined. I think they're playing a team that has Vladimir Tarasenko, and he's.
Well, their coach is more disciplined because he didn't even go crazy over some of this stuff. The old Hitchcock would have.
Mm-hmm. Now Hitch has definitely mellowed a lot. I agree with you on that. I mean, I remember the Hitchcock-Lindy Rough Wars.
Yeah, I was there. I covered that game. I was there for the.
I was there too. I was in the front row when they went off and on, and when they both went at each other in Buffalo on the press, in the press conferences. No, I agree. I mean, let's talk. Let's also talk. We have to talk about the Rangers-Penguins game a little bit more too, in terms of the 13-second later offsides, because that you know, this is what we're talking. There does need to be a time limit. I think where we're heading is that this is going to go away. I've talked so this.
It's not going to go away. They're gonna change the letter of the law. I mean, you can't say like a guy is offside, the play is in the zone for 2 minutes, they score, and then because it was 2 minutes, it's either he's offside or he's not. What they're going to do is they're going to change the definition of offside, and if that doesn't solve it, I mean, the only negative right now is the fact that it's taking so long for them to come to the decision. It should go to
is it an average of like 3 minutes, right?
Not the only negative. It's not the only negative because what's happening is the referees are actually coaching afraid or actually reffing afraid. There's a tentativeness. You're seeing offsides that are not being called, almost like, well, we'll find out that's offsides later if it really matters. You're seeing a lot of mistakes. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that this is an unfair system on them. I really do, and I think that there's.
Then we go back to Sutter a year ago, who told me game one of a season, well, not game one, like the first week of a season, when I asked him about a call, and he said it doesn't matter what the referees say; it just matters what they say in Toronto. I mean, if that's the way coaches feel, which they do, then that's why referees are reffing that way, Eck.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about this is be careful what you wish for. People always complain like, "Oh, that was offsides." And then we got what we wanted, and now everyone wants, because they see that it's always been difficult. No matter how you look at it, whether you have the precise technology or whether you're just going off of the ref, it's a hard call. It happens fast. Yeah. So if you want it to not happen fast, it's going to take time to review it. Right. We got what we wanted, and we realized that maybe it isn't what we wanted.
Well, I mean, what the effect of this may be is, if you think about it, if they do call play offside, that's not reversible. So I think you're going to see any play that's sort of in a gray area, they're going to call it offside. They're not going to rule in terms of onside. They're going to say offside, because if it continues to the point where these players are, they're off by this much, the referees and the linesmen look foolish for missing so many plays. I think the bounce back here is them saying, okay, we're just going to call it offside if it's even close, and then we don't look as good.
And then you have plays that aren't really offside being called offside, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Patrick Kane lost it yesterday. There was a 2-on-2 break, I think, in the second period. I thought it was onside. He put the puck in front of him. I think it was him and Panarin that were breaking in 2-on-2. They blew it offside. It looked like it was onside, but the thing was, that's not reviewable. It's over. It's done with. The crowd was pissed off.
Well, that's what I talked about yesterday, Mike. Like in the NFL, they would keep going and wait for the review. Like if a fumble did it hit the ground or not? I'm going to run it in the end zone in case to review it. But the whistle blows and it's done.
I mean, once they blow the whistle, it's over with, even if he was onside.
Right, and that is the weird thing about this. Ben Scrivens comments on Shaw, by the way, there is no punishment, nor should there be. Behavior changes with education, not punishment. And I think that we're all kind of.
That was exactly what you said, Ross. That was exactly like it's
proof of that education, and then I agree with it.
No, I think that Ben Scrivens is Cornell grad, so he's smart.
Wait. You're saying because I went to Nassau Community College and University of Houston that Ben Scrivens is smarter? Cornell. I applied for Cornell.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's on them. That's on them.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I think Ben Scrivens is more intelligent because he got Jenny Scrivens to marry him, so that's a compliment to him. But some goalie news. Antti Niemi looks like he's going to start Game 4 for Dallas against Minnesota, and as Eck reported, Michael Neuwirth will be in goal for Philadelphia in Game 4.
That crazy Pokemon that he is. He looks like a Pokemon. I finally figured it out. He looks like a Pokemon trainer, Michael. I was waiting for something that he looked like. He looks like a Pokemon trainer.
Nobody's shocked. Nobody's shocked that change has been made as far as for goalie, and it's not on Mason. For all the fans that think it's on Mason, they're just doing a change because you know what? They're just hoping to win a game.
I mean, Mason might be hurt, and we know he's hurt, but it's a question. And this is an interesting change, and this, Neuwirth has been very good this year. He's an ex-Capital. He has the ability to win a game. I mean, you're putting in a backup goalie who does have the ability to steal a game. So he has that. He could be that guy. And like I said Flyers in 7, and the Flyers aren't going to win in anything but 7. So I think I might be right.
Here's the thing. Colin McDonald, I don't understand why Colin McDonald is getting the ice time. It's like you've got Jordan Wheel sitting in the press box. He at least skates better. There's a chance he might score. Why are you just putting a guy because of size? You might as well put an RJ Emberger if that's the case. No offense, RJ, but
I agree with you, Russ. I agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
They need offense. The team needs offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they need offense right now, and they need now. All right, so Jonathan Drouin, the once much maligned Jonathan Drouin, is John Cooper came out and said, "I'm unbelievably proud of the way he's handled himself. He deserves this." And he's playing.
And I want him traded on draft day.
Yeah.
And we made the right move by not. And we went on to say we made the right move by holding on to him.
Well, okay. Let me just say things. A couple things here.
Mike, feel free to say things.
Yes, thank you. Jonathan Drouin, 3 assists. Kucherov, I think, now has 3, maybe 4 goals in the series against Detroit. Good luck, Tampa Bay, signing Kucherov for less than $6 million, and good luck signing Steven Stamkos.
All right, but here's the counterpoint. They could still go a bridge deal with Kucherov. They don't have to give him a long-term deal right away. So that's
beneficial for them to get him to on a
They don't have to. They don't have to do it. And as far as Drouin, this is exactly what I was talking about the whole time. If you're going to play him with fourth liners, you're going to get fourth line output, which is nothing. If you play him with real players, you're going to get an output. I don't think anybody should really be shocked at what's going on with Drouin. I really don't. I mean, it's not like the guy lost his talent. There was a lot of questioning when he went down to the AHL, and all of a sudden he wasn't scoring. There's a lot of things. But I thought the biggest thing, and I remember talking about it, was when you're not playing with players that are at your level when you go down to the AHL, it's hard for you to produce.
Right. And this is I mean, the whole thing with him, again, when he started at the beginning of the season, he had success playing with Stamkos. Then they moved him off that line, played him on a third or fourth line. His numbers dropped. He got hurt, and then his production dropped, and he was sent to the minors. This was a symptom of mismanagement on the part of John Cooper. He's got a talented player who he picked 3rd overall. I understand that they want young kids who are not completely rounded out in terms of their game to learn both ends of the ice. But when you have a premier offensive talent like Drouin, you maximize his value by putting him with skilled players. And they didn't do that. Now they've had no option other than to do that, and look how he's played so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then he's played very, very well. And
good points. Yeah.
He's looking confident, and at this point, it could affect what happens with Sam, because I still don't think it's going.
Brian Boyle looked like Bobby Orr the other day with that setup on that goal. Like, this is Brian Boyle we're talking about, and he gave an amazing pass to him, and he is making great plays. And so at the end of the day, the 2 best trades Tampa never made were Steve Stamkos to the Rangers and John Drouin to anybody.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
right.
And I mean, we'll agree to disagree, but I think that. I mean, Tampa being as a lot of people picked Detroit to win this series because of all the injuries that Tampa had. Tampa being successful in the first round without Stamkos, this is providing a window, something that Steve Yzerman can look at and say, we can be successful without spending $10 million a year on Steven Stamkos. That's what this is doing. And I think if you pay Kucherov, you sign him on a long-term deal for 6-7 years at $6 million. They re-signed Braden Coburn. They have Drouin for another year or 2 on their entry-level deal. They don't have to sign Stamkos. And I think if they do, they lower the chances of them re-signing Hedman, re-signing Bishop. It makes more sense to let Stamkos go or to trade his rights at the draft than to re-sign him for $10 million or more.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about that more.
I'm sure.
For sure. Yes. Let's talk Predators Ducks for a second before we have to do our NHL lottery simulator. The Preds and the Ducks now. This is the Predators came out and really just played a horrible game last night. I think nervousness and perhaps just being in front of their fans, and just as we've seen, if you pull your foot off the pedal at all in the playoffs, the desperate team's going to win. That's just the bottom line. And the desperate team last night, dominated the game. I mean, we'll see a totally different Predators team on Thursday when they play.
Yeah, but the Ducks did go to the net more. Raquel finally played his game. Where obviously the threat of me pulling him made him play a better game. But they but they looked more like the Anaheim team, and it wasn't really because of Anderson. I don't think Gibson did anything wrong. I think just again, a little bit of a shakeup, and they just went back to their game, playing physical, going to the net. If Anaheim doesn't go to the net, they don't score.
I don't think Gibson did anything wrong, Russ, but I do think that there's something to having more confidence in the guy who's got more experience, who took you to the conference final last year.
It's fine. I mean,
to me, the way Anaheim reacted in Game 3 was the way LA reacted in San Jose. They got. I think they're more confident with Anderson in goal, and they played an almost perfect road game, and LA didn't play a perfect road game, but they got the victory in San Jose in Game 3. Now these teams, they get one more victory, it's back to them having home ice advantage. So I mean, we'll see what happens.
And one thing in the playoffs that's just so clear is the importance of special teams, because Anaheim's penalty kill, the Predators had 5 power plays and scored on none of them. So the special teams in the playoffs is so critical, and when you see some team being able, like the Capitals shut down the Flyers, the Ducks shut down the Predators, that got them that's part of the reason why they won that game.
It's penalty kills and goaltending. It always has been for me. Those are the two, and I really, I've been a broken record on that, but for years. But I think that's honestly, when it comes down to the playoffs, Pekka Rinne did not have a great game last night.
Yes.
He hasn't
had a great game in the series, Zach. I mean,
he was pretty good in Game 1 and points in Game 2. But last night, and I don't agree with you that I think the Ducks played way better than the Kings played in Game 3. But I do think that the Kings won in overtime and were outshot pretty badly. The Ducks really completely dominated the game. I mean, there was really no. I mean, with the exception, if you take away the power plays, the Predators would have had no shots on goal. I mean, it was really came down to that. So.
Well, speaking of no shots on goal, how about, and just to hop back to the Rangers series for a second, 4 shots on goal in the third period, Russ. I mean,
here's the funny thing, and I heard him talking about it. We both did on the noon show. It's not so much that the Penguins are clogging up the middle like Sullivan wants. I think it's more about they're just getting the puck and they're keeping it away from the Rangers, and that's what they're doing. And the Rangers have no way of getting it back when they have slower guys out there. Now, the Rangers have pretty good speed, don't get me wrong, but Dan Boyle out there is very slow. And he ran into his own guy on that Matt Cullen play, and at this point, I would probably rest him and get him out of there because, again, I know you want it. This isn't like the 1970s and 80s and even part of the 90s NHL where you want to have X amount of veterans in there because they've been there and everything else. When they're in there but they're not fast enough to sort of keep up with the action, you got a problem. And that's, again, to me, that was the biggest play, was the Boyle play. I mean, I don't care if he lays a big hit earlier in the game. I care at the end of the game, why is he out on the ice when things are happening? Jillian, I think your tea's ready. I'm not sure.
Sorry. Thought it was on vibrate.
That rings a bell. Okay. What Russ said rang a bell. Let's go to the lottery simulator. Here we go.
Yes, I agree with you, Russ. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to say.
Today's winner is the Buffalo Sabres. Okay. Followed by the Arizona Coyotes and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, yeah.
Now, I do want to let people know, Eck, I've got an interview that I'm going to post with Jesse Puljujarvi, and I think in total it's about a 10-word reply from him. His English is not very good.
Oh man!
I got it from
a interview young players. Then you have to. It's really hard when they can't speak English.
Well, so here's the funny thing. Wait, I got to set it up for you. He came in late the other day, so I left basically before he even played a game. So somebody else did the interview for me, and he's a Swiss reporter. So you have a Swiss reporter talking to an interpreter in English, talking to Puljujarvi in Finnish, and then getting the answer back in English.
I think the Maple Leafs are going to have to pay Leo Komarov more money to be the interpreter because he was the interpreter for Nikita Shashnikov, a Russian player, this year. And if they draft either Line, and I don't know if Line can speak English or not, if they draft Line or Puljujarvi, he's going to be pulling double duty to tell them what they're saying in Finnish.
Right. I mean, can I just? I'm there, and just on the subject of interviews for a second. I'm getting so tired. These interviews in the playoffs. I mean, reporters need to get better at this. We need to get better. It's like, I will pay somebody $100 if they ask this question and they tape it to a player. Okay, you have to do this. How awkward is it for me to ask you to quantify how awkward it is to lose? Right? I'm really tired of how awkward it is, or how disappointing is it. It's like it's more disappointing than my cat dying, but not as disappointing as myself by a car.
Well, what drives me nuts, Zach, is the post game. Tell me about that play. We can see the play. We don't need him to tell us about the play.
Or talk about. No, I'd rather interpretive dance what I thought about that third power.
No, when you say talk about, that's not even a question. If I was a player, I'd be like, that's not even a question.
Well, Kucherov last night said something, like the reporter said, did you see where you were shooting on that shot? And Kucherov said to him, did you hear this on X? This is hilarious.
No.
Kucherov says to him, why do you always ask me if I see where I'm shooting? I'm shooting at the net.
Right.
It's a pretty obvious target. Like, that's the goal.
One reporter always asks him that question, did you see where you were trying to put that putt? It's like, or were we just shooting it?
If he was blindfolded, I could see. But
yes, I really, there needs to be, we need
what questions do you want asked? Just so, like, do you have an example of one you want?
Yeah, I mean, you know what, I usually try to find something different to talk to a player about. You know, I'll say their power play, okay? Obviously, you're worrying about Ovechkin, but at the same time, don't you find yourself, if you're overemphasizing Ovechkin, leaving Backstrom? Look, just throw something out like that, you know, just something. And it's not a terrible question. It's not the most earth-shattering.
But also, you're not saying, what can you guys? You guys are struggling on the power play. What do you think you can do?
Well,
that's
we got to go deep, and we got to shoot it in, and this is the generic answer.
Yeah. How weird is it to realize that your mascot has no meaning whatsoever?
Catch him completely off guard.
Right, just like something, you know, just
catch
like
him completely off guard.
No one ever asks. No one ever actually answers how weird it is. Like, you know.
Yeah, but if you said that to San Jose
Python's third movie, but not as weird as Monty Python's fourth movie. It's somewhere in there.
If you said that in San Jose, Sharky would come by and take care of you.
Right.
Yeah, but then you could also ask the Dallas Stars that one.
Right.
That one, he just creeps me out, man. That mascot, like the puck's coming out of its head and everything.
Yeah. It's all that's wrong with Texas.
Yeah.
It is. And not I don't mean anything.
But he seems cool. I mean, he seems like he would be fun to hang with. I mean, everything I've seen of him. So,
right.
You know, what can you say?
Well, is he the one who's the one that's really good? Because they have the mascot hockey game, and there's one that dominates the mascot hockey game. Like, he obviously was a junior league hockey player or something like that, and his costume is good. Is makes him is easier to skate with than some.
Is it the bear from the Labatt's commercial?
No, it's not the bear. I haven't seen that commercial. I don't know what you're talking about.
They show it 1,000 times.
I'm kidding.
It looks like Johnny Goudreau in a bear costume.
I know. It is just yeah. How awkward is it to watch a skating bear in the middle of a game? How?
With no hockey pants on, but we won't even go there.
Right. Clothes on that bear. That's a bear. All right.
These will be good questions. I think you should definitely ask them next time. Just and make sure you get the video camera out.
How disappointed are you that the show is coming to an end?
We have to ask Russ the Chicken those questions later on. So.
I'll try and talk to him.
There is so much demand for Russ the Chicken to get back on the air. I'm starting to feel very, very self-conscious about that. Like, I'm starting to be like, okay, Russ the Chicken was such a good, when's Russ the Chicken coming back? I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. No, we want to hear Russ the Chicken. So at some point, Russ, right? But I said not until the second round. I said we're going to use him to predict. We're gonna make you wait for Russ the Chicken.
So wait, Russ the Chicken will be the one who has all the picks in the second round?
Well, no, he'll make a prediction.
He'll just have his own. That's all.
He made predictions in the first round.
Okay, Russ
was born because Russ couldn't do the predictions himself, so we got Russ the Chicken to do them. Right. But now Russ the Chicken will have his own picks, I think, and
he's a phenomenon.
All right. Yeah, there you go. Phenomenon. All right. So anyway, remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey, and don't forget that. We'll see you later. See you tomorrow. Same.